last year, too.
So LSU.
Yes, y'all. From the beautiful Carrollton, Texas. My name is Greg Tepper. I am the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, a magazine that's been around since 19. Site that has been around considerably less. Normally, I would say I'm sitting over there is Max Thompson. Max Thompson is waiting on a call from. So you don't want to mess up, but I don't want to tease it in case it doesn't happen. You know, May 27th, 2016, episode 140 between 1974. A big show, too much show. There's too much show. We're going to be joined. He's actually sitting here.
Hello, world.
There's Matt
Hello.
Stepp of theoldcoach.com. We're going to be talking with him a little bit.
I'm filler for Mr. Campbell.
We won't say which
Oh,
one.
crap.
We won't say which.
Yeah.
What if it was? Actually, you know what? We tried to get John Campbell on the phone.
That's right, y'all did. That was
he as I'm sure you well know, is that you get like no, yeah, I'll call you at like voicemail, and then an hour later you get a panicked phone call back, and he's like, oh my gosh, man, I got called in by my principal or the superintendent. Yeah. So in a moment, about
I'm fascinated. Watch.
You guys don't
Viewers,
get the real.
You don't get to see this.
You don't get the real show.
The magic has happened.
Are we now? Oh, surprise!
Mr. Earl Campbell is finishing up his workout, and he's going to give us a call.
So then we're going to kill time between now and then. Joined by Earl Campbell in just a moment. So I'm going to tweet it.
For the Tyler Rose. But, you know, I guess.
He's definitely a top 3 Texas football luminary, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Texas.
I would not argue against number 1.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, Texas Longhorn, Houston Lynx.
He does. Sausage. I'm going to ask Earl Campbell about his sausage.
It's tremendous.
It's tremendous sausage. Yeah. The reason we're having Earl Campbell on, the reason we're having him on, recipients of the inaugural Dave Campbell Legacy Award, Team of the Year, but it struck us we don't really have a historic launch it this year. Earl Campbell, Gary Patterson, and Dave Campbell.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. Dave Campbell. I believe Earl Campbell. I don't want to speak for him. I'll ask him about him being referred to under like Cousin Dave or something.
Texan thing to
That's
do right
there. That's a
there.
very Texan thing to be like Cousin Dave. Into the title game thing. I'll throw this out there. I'll pull the pitch. What happened yesterday? Art Briles fired at Baylor. Your thoughts?
Baylor Twitter.
Baylor.
That Coach Briles was fired after the report came out, and you know, obviously the insane. I'm actually surprised that there wasn't more heads rolling, and maybe there will be in the coming weeks. And I said if any football coach who is involved in conducting their own should not be working at Baylor University. I mean, if you know Starr, I mean, if he gets the same pay and less responsibility, that it's kind of a promote. Maybe he knows where the bodies are buried. I don't know, but it's Yeah, there's I've got daughters. I mean, I have one that's going to be in college soon, and so I worry about these things all the time. And it's sad. It's horrible for those women.
Here's the thing: is that it's scary enough, this might happen, right? That is a scary proposition on its face. When there's even an ink, make sure people don't know about it. That's like that worse.
And I know he probably is guilty of not doing enough, not having enough as his scene and his control. And I think at maximum he was involved in a cover up. Yeah. So and maybe the truth is somewhere in between.
Well, and his dogs, but
Levy,
yeah.
Levy on staff or something.
More or less blasted Baylor and blasted the media. Last I heard, can we stop for a second?
It's hard not to laugh when you
hear
that. I know,
like this is and I want to smile. But the Pepper Hamilton is not part of the media.
You're right, Philadelphia. Shout out Jonathan Marshall, Abilene Reporter News.
That's the and this notion that he's a scapegoat. I think you're right. Let's remember that first and foremost, Art CEO of that football program, and so you are ultimately
just like in any job or a lot of times the CEO, the boss. Ultimately, I'm got to be accountable for that too. So, but I am surprised that there were more coaches. It kind of strikes me as odd, to say the least.
The weird situation there.
I would not still be there.
No, that's
in my heart of hearts that my dad didn't do anything wrong. Then I'd be gone. Some talk of some coaches that were odd because those guys. We're a day out from this thing, and I think there's still a lot more fallout that's going to happen.
I think we need to let this was step one of what I'm sure is going to be a lot. But honestly, my overwhelming thought on get it in order, start it over, like blow it up and start it over, because it's a serious culture problem. Tear down the culture.
Yeah, I mean, Penn make a case that a lot of the guys that were there weren't even aware of that. University the culture on campus and the culture in the football program, where I think you'd be a lot more up and do eventually. Like I think you made a good point. You got to let it breathe a little bit. It's still I think we're just really scratching the surface as Baylor.
It's really tired of the takes. You were telling me last night that you're like, man, a lot of takes.
Scott Van Pelt just had a really good take on it. Don't care.
You don't. Your take, your take.
So little interest.
Bucket is full. But I think that it's obviously we cover the team as a football team, but football's tertiary right now to everything that's going on. Was that with the Penn State thing, and that is probably the best any sort of moral judgment, is that the NCAA did, if you remember, put in a if you want to transfer without penalty and you want to go to another school
that went to USC from Penn State.
Well, I can't. Sorry, I presumed,
Yeah. No, just said Greg, please. I was like,
"Oh, I'm very sorry if I just hung up on you."
You're
watching DCTF Live, a show we plan.
Yeah.
I presume. I don't know. Like, what are the odds that I would get a call? That might be like, honestly, it might be like expecting from Tyler.
I don't know.
Rickland Hall.
Yeah,
hopefully that would be amazing. I'm very sorry. I'm probably gonna have to call and make a very.
We were waiting on a call from Earl Campbell and 903 number. We thought it was you.
You will usually not be the second most important person in as we're waiting on a phone call from
whoever it is. It'll be good.
You saw yesterday that obviously that Kedrick James, the tight end from La Vega, are kind of the next thing that's going to happen. Is that I think this roster's going to churn if NCAA sanctions are en route because there may be some more changes. All right, well, first.
Fine.
Make sure the phone call comes, right?
Exactly. We'll get halfway through.
You will be interrupted. Hey, AT&T Stadium. We'd heard rumblings. There had been a little bit of smoke to the 13th through 17th. 4 triple games are going to be on Wednesday, plus the 2A Division I game will be on Wednesday. I don't think we can be surprised, right?
No, I mean, we talked about it in our G. All noticed it. Everybody noticed it. We talked about it. It's not a shot. I mean, I'm not taking it for smaller. Me personally, free trip out of the deal. So I don't have anything invested. I'd like them to rotate. But the crowds were noticeably smaller. And I think that part of that from my up, but it was new in Houston. I don't think it was promoted well in the attached General Joe Blow football fan stadium.
There's a certain I think that there was a foremost is let's take into AT&T Stadium an alumni base.
Lake Ridge.
Lake Ridge is in that mix. You have a lot of teams that don't have those type, maybe local teams that do have a history.
A good crowd,
Katy had a good crowd.
Yeah.
There were so I don't think that there's necessarily. I think those things, and I do think you're right. I don't think AT&T Stadium because I think that there's something to the effect of we're getting a phone call. That hey, you want to go and go to this stadium and sit like Can you believe Texas high school football? They're playing at the Missouri State Championship games are played at whatever the Edward Jones. It's
meh.
It's Edward Jones Dome. It's the Med call. Oh my gosh, is it happening? It's happening.
All right. Well, I will bow out
All
for
right, there goes
Mr.
Matt
Earl
Stepp.
Campbell.
We're probably running along. If you want to skip lunch. All right, here we go. Yep, plugging it in. We are so pleased to be of the inaugural Dave Campbell in Texas football lore. It is Earl Campbell. Earl, how are you
doing?
You know, I thought about that because I thought I'd remembered that you guys. I imagine that two football luminaries, Dave Campbell, in the same familial tone.
After my doing pro football, you doesn't get to go back to the Hall of Fame, unfortunately. I mean, to the Heisman Trophy, unfortunately. So when I first retired in 86, 87, I went back to the Heisman Trophy the first time, and I didn't know what to do, and Doak Walker and Dave Campbell, and they got me and says, hey, come on, cuz, you don't know where to go. You from Texas. So I've been Cousin Campbell, and we've been Cousin Dave Campbell ever since.
That is pretty remarkable. I imagine Dave is pretty happy being back a little bit in your career. Obviously, moving on to the University of Texas, then playing for a while. That embodies football in the Lone Star State. Do you feel like your legacy would have been a little bit different?
Well, I think this. I think the best thing for me, I don't even think about that. I made my mind up immediately to come to the University of Texas. I felt that was the best place for me. My mother told me, outside of everything people were saying, she said, son, you got to make up your own mind because none of these people can go to school for you. They can't get on the football field for you. I'm not going to be there. You got to do this. So the University of Texas, I never even gave it a second thought, was the best place for me. I never said, what if I'd went to Notre Dame? What if I'd went to Alabama? It's always been the University of Texas for me.
We're talking with Earl Campbell, the Tyler Rose here on DCTF Live, getting live, and Earl and Oilers. For you, being a Texas boy, being a guy who played at John Tyler and then at the University of Texas, when you went to the Houston Oilers, the idea of staying in Texas.
Well, I was so young then, and you're so excited just to get to your dream, the NFL. And I had no idea all this was happening. Everything happened so fast to me. Every time I do one thing, something else, something else would come up, and college, high school. But the greatest thing for me was being at the Houston Oilers with the legendary Bum Phillips. I mean, every aspect of my life, God just worked it out. Corky Nelson was my dad for college, for high school, Darryl Royer for Akers for college, and the ultimate dad put the taps on the Bum Phillips. So everywhere I went, I always had that invisible dad, them right there with me, and they all told me things that my dad would have told me or my parents would have told me. So playing for Bum Phillips was, that's the ultimate thing. I'll tell you something funny. Like when I got to rookie camp, out there with the other veterans, he said one day, I want all the rookies to go in the weight room and lift weights. Well, I never had Coach Royal and Coach Akers back then, so I didn't go in the weight room with Earl Camp, and I was EC to him 2 weeks before I saw him. He passed. I said, yes, sir. The next day at practice, rookies go in the weight room? I said, yes, sir. Before. He said, you got to be... He said, son, where did all that come from? He said, well, next time you go in that weight room, but today I'm going to find you 10,000. Phillips was just ultimate guy, man. He would tell us stuff about when you're in public, be a man. It was all about life after football. Football was something.
One of the reasons we're having you on, not that we need an excuse, Legacy Award and Gary Patterson. This just goes in a what I imagine is an accomplishment or a particular...
I don't know if you'll consider to get this done. I was the first one in my family out of 7 boys and 4 girls to do it. And to be able to do it while you're attending the University of Texas was unbelievable because back then, as you know, I don't know, you're probably a young man, but I'm 60 years old now.
Mm-hmm.
jocks are just dumb. They don't get determined to do what Darrell Royer promised my mother, that I would have a chance and an opportunity to get a college degree. And I got my degree in speech communication in 1979, and I think that was my biggest thrill right there.
I got to ask you about your Longhorns heading into the 2016 season. What are your thoughts on your Longhorns?
I think people need to understand this. Of course, our alumni base, hopefully, that a football team is like a family. It's something, and I know you've heard this, and the listeners have heard this many a times, that you just don't make a change and hope something good happens. You make a change, and then the coach got to get in there and get his deal worked out, and Coach Strong have done that. And we are at the UT. Hopefully, we are being very patient because there are so much good there. And I do believe this year, after watching them in spring training and tour days, that we're going to have a lot better football team. I like what I see. It's no doubtly you hear things about Coach Strong, and that is one gentleman that not only he reminds me of Darrell Royer and Fred Akers, not only grooming kids for life, but he's teaching them how to be ball players, how to be respectful, how to represent the University of Texas, and I think we're going to see some great things in the future.
We're talking with Earl
But
Campbell.
one thing I want to jump the hook. One thing I want to say about cousin Dave Campbell, they have always been cool, and I know they all knew what I'm talking about. You could not wait till that Dave Campbell magazine come out, hoping that you was in there.
Mm-hmm.
And fortunately, Cousin Campbell put me in there several times. I will always be grateful for him and Miss Campbell. They've done so much for the history of high school football.
We're talking with Earl Campbell, the Tyler Rose here on DCTF Live. Get involved in the conversation at hashtag DCTF Live. And, we're working hard on the 2016 summer edition, Earl, and in this upcoming magazine, which is due out in June. You are 61 years old. You just turned 61.
Oh yes, I got a weight room in my garage now. My wife's in there. I bought me a brand new Bowflex machine, and I'm gonna ride it. I had to remind myself this morning, son, you're not 30 no more. You can't get up there and do like you and Charlie Joyner used to do in the good old days. So I ride about 4 or 5, and I get some dumbbells. Christian, my son, got some 20. I try.
So lift weight. You spend more time in the weight room now than you did in high school and in your early years at Texas?
Oh, yeah. Nelson brought out a T-shirt. Said you lift 225 pounds 3 times, you get this T-shirt, right? Mm-hmm. Where I come from, Tyler, out there on that farm, Rosefield, so I got up under that weight thing, and I did it about 6 times and got me a T-shirt, and I never lift high school weights. But every time I went in the weight room, in my Doug English and them were lifting weights at UT, I used to go in there and look at him and So, on the Texas and our college football, our high school football, and all, the Coach Browers, I know with him, he's been respectful to me. I know the University of Baylor has had some problems. Coach Browers the best. He's a very good coach, a very good human being. Sometimes you get caught up in trying to win. You don't have a chance to look at all the things that young kids are doing these days. But Coach Browers, I talk to the people at the University of Baylor, the things they are doing, trying to straighten their program out. I wish them nothing but the best. And see, that's some of the things I was telling you all about Coach Strong. Mm-hmm. If you didn't hear me correctly, we had some of those same problems here. And Coach Strong, as soon as he got here, he cleaned it up with those 5 or 9 or 10 guys he got rid of off our football team. Those was our star football players. But he'd rather let them go and say, I'm going to do with the guys that want to do what's right. I just thought I'd say that on behalf of Coach Browers. As far as I'm concerned, he's a great man.
He is Earl Campbell. He is the Tyler Rose, and he is one of the recipients of the inaugural Dave Campbell Legacy Award. Mr. Campbell, thank you so much for your time. I will tell
I saw him, and when Coach Akers got into the Tell Cousin Campbell I look forward to be part of the Texas football. I don't think there's another conference, and you noticed I said country.
Thanks so much, Earl. We appreciate it.
Yeah, have a great day.
One of the greatest luminaries in Texas football history, and cousin I've ever seen Earl Campbell.
Yeah.
You can tell. Fantastic. That's we should just have we should give him the show. He can just do it.
We should.
And just be like,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
just-
we've got.
Second, I'm gonna yell. We're DCTF Live.
That's
We're
how
here
we're on the phone.
talking football in the
Coaches are
Lone
trying
Star.
to get
Campbell's follow us on
Mhm.
Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at texasfootball.com. All right. One last little bit of business here on a
One
Friday.
last. Can I just before we do this?
Mhm. Yeah, we're super
Yeah.
plaid today.
Yes. Wow.
There we go.
Yeah.
We are but her name is, what's your official title right now?
Director of Operations.
Which is the parent company of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. So time, okay? If anything's getting, we'll have to imagine our horror at finding out that Kirsten's leaving us to school. You're gonna right in what?
In communication disorder, speech language pathologist.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Why a speech?
Children, I mostly want to go back and work in if they have autism or any sort of learning disability to help.
With us prior to Max's arrival, and then she got hired. And she keeps the trains on time. We got
My favorite thing for every single intern we have.
Oh yeah. I don't think she's liked a single intern.
Okay.
They all are.
We got two of them. You hear that? You're on notice, interns.
Yeah.
Would also, one of the things that we do is that we rights to the UIL, and so we do a lot of operations out there. So a lot of championship games are up and stuff like that. What is your favorite or least favorite story at a state championship game?
I think you know where I'm going with this. So the first basketball, girls basketball, is a little over a year ago. Great city, great facility. Suite upstairs. If I look on his face and he looks at me and okay, I'm going to leave. I can't be
You
here
don't
for
like
this.
mice?
I don't like mice.
Okay.
But I'm going to leave and there's a mouse on the chair right next to where I'm sitting, just kind of crawling around. And then I left. I could not do that anymore.
My gosh.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
That's
yeah.
tough.
That was day one.
That was your omen.
So what? So how long is it going to take for you to get your master's?
About 2 years.
About 2 years. Okay. And your whole thing is about to crumble. I'm legitimately concerned.
This is the end.
cog in this wheel.
As I've said on many occasions, she is literally the only person here I like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, I'm trying to think of another. Nope,
No.
I'm coming up empty.
No.
So we'll ask you the same question that we ask. Who is your least favorite?
Current, like everyone who works
Yeah,
here now?
everyone
or-
who works here now.
Okay.
In this office.
In this office.
I don't want to say you, but
it's
kind
me.
of you.
It's me.
yeah.
I think it's other way.
Least favorite,
Other way.
favorite.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. He brought you
I-
cookies.
I
He
brought
did
the
very-
Control,
I've
I'm about
had
to eat one after
I've
this.
had 3 already.
Oh my gosh. She is. Do you want to get Twitter?
I've listed
It's her last day.
Also, her title is DCTF Trader.
Yeah.
All right. What a
I
traitor
mean
is.
this. I mean this very sincerely on behalf of both Max and I. You have made us in so many innumerable.
Genuinely upset.
We would around lit on fire if it were not for you. And we love you, and we hope that you go on and do teach them to play football
Instead of
so that we can
instead
write
of-
about them in the magazine.
Instead of these children.
Instead of us,
Yeah.
now you're gonna be with much more mature people. Okay, so thank you so much. Us here, you get to hold the. That's gonna do it for us for this week. We are do your Memorial Day things. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Do you have you?
Something like Vince Young, please come get your Player of the Year trophy.
And we will see you on Tuesday on DCTF Live.